Greetings, diversity practitioners. If you're listening or seeing this video, you have reached the final week, right? You have reached the end, and I'm so proud of all of you for working this hard. I know that this course is a lot, but it's so worth it, right? And so I want to cover some of the deadlines that you have. In my last video, I did not cover Unit 7 as far as the deadlines go. So I'll just do that really quickly since I'm submitting these two videos at the same time. So you'll take note that your first discussion is due this Wednesday. Today's Monday, right? So it's due this Wednesday, April 24th. And then Saturday, April 27th, you have your usual two assignments, which is this week a team case study project assignment, right? Not the actual project, that will be next week. The following week, and then you have your book club summary. So again, your last ones here. Now for this week, the week that I'm talking about, notice is that it's a very short week. You finish on Wednesday. So what we're expecting that day is your team case study project and your peer team participation rating. And I'll go over what that means right now. So as far as your topic 8 readings, there are none, right? Because it's all about refining, and really fine-tuning your assignments that you've had all throughout the whole course, right? And including my feedback into your final project, and again, incorporating really that APA style, okay? So as far as assignment 8A, this is the biggest assignment you all have, right? And it's your final team project. Again, I mentioned this the first day of class, right? So you've technically been working on this assignment since the first day. And just for your awareness, just so that you feel at ease in terms of expectations, let's go over it. So the final team project assignment, for this assignment, you'll create an original group or team model that brings together key concepts and methods to successfully facilitate a diversity and inclusion initiative, right? You've already been doing that. You should select an issue or problem that you would like to explore in depth that pertains specifically to diversity and inclusion. This is when you first picked your organization and you talked about the challenges. You may wish to use a case of a real or fictional organizations, which this specific quarter we have both. So after you identify a specific case study for your project focus, you will do the following. The first, you'll describe your case study and provide the issues, challenges the organization is facing and how it relates to diversity and inclusion, right? Who are the key players within the case study? Describe their influence, how it impacts the case overall. It is important to provide as much detail as possible. So actually a really good, you've all been doing really good in terms of your that first assignment where you gave that detail and a lot of you incorporated my feedback. But a really good model is actually the Blue Health summary page, right? It gives you information about the key players, what's going on, etc. And that's basically kind of what I'm looking for. Please make sure to cite. I know that you all didn't walk into the organization and talk to the CEO, or that this information is being found in the web. So it's really important to cite, because I also want to know how are you using your resources, right? Are you just using anything you see on the daily news, or are you really digging deep to find accurate data? That's another big factor, because, for example, if you were hired right now by any of those companies, right, Victoria's Secret, Dell, a university, you name it, regardless of knowing them or not, you would have to do your own research. So I want you guys to get really comfortable in that, and I want you to be the best at that, okay? Identify and briefly describe at minimum 2 existing diversity and inclusion models, frameworks, tools permanent to your case study focus. And we've been talking about, communication methods, frameworks, tools quite often throughout this course, so I don't see that being an issue. And you've already had an assignment about that, right? You've already gotten feedback, so I hope to see that incorporated. Explore the key concepts and methods related to the selected theories and assess their usefulness as it relates to your case, right? So some of the key concepts that you learn in FIRMED and the methods, how does that relate to what you are all doing within your organization that you're studying, right? This is that moment where that question that you're actually synthesizing, right? I just don't, if you're talking about, for example, emotional intelligence, Of course, I would want the definition and what that means, but why is emotional intelligence so important to this organization? What did you read that really hones in on the fact that, they need to learn more about managing themselves or being more socially aware, for example? Okay? That is what I'm looking for. As far as the next question, describe what field will best handle the case study, right? Is it an HR role? Is it an IO psychologist role? Is it an OD specialist role? Is it a manager, leader, internal, or external consultant? So in your last unit, right, in unit 7, we talked about these specific positions and these different perspectives. So which one are you going to use for your final team project, okay, to analyze the organizations that we've been talking about for basically the entire quarter. You'll also talk about describing the communication methods that will be used to address the issues within the organization. So make sure to include that, right? Describe leadership role, the leadership's role in fostering an inclusive workplace in your case study. So I'm really looking that for you all to take, some type of challenge and really look into the HR, IO psychologist, and OD specialist role. But if you do take the leader role, these two questions do coincide. I don't need repeats as far as what that person will do as far as being a leader to foster diversity and inclusion. And if that, I hope that made sense. But if you have any questions, any further questions, please inbox me. All right. And lastly, what are the potential solutions and recommendations? So provide a set of guidelines for how you would intervene in the case study. Well, technically, it's not the case study provided, it's the case study that you all chose, right? So that first assignment, right? What are the guidelines that you're going to set to fix those challenges? So there's a little bit of a typo there. I'm sorry. And in this section, you can integrate the best aspects of each theory and utilize the change process steps. For example, right? You're not limited here. Use your resources. That's very important. And lastly, APA is going to be a huge factor in this, right? So I'm looking for a cover page, table of contents, introduction, and summary of the case. These are probably going to be your headings, right? Application of frameworks, models, and recommendations. And this section alone should be about 12 to 15 pages long. Notice that's the only requirement that I have. Everything else doesn't, although the summary should not be just a paragraph, right? The conclusion should probably be a little bit longer than a paragraph as well. Maybe a page for the introduction and a page for the conclusion. Again, I'm not limiting you there, but it's definitely more than a paragraph, okay? Lastly, I would like to see your resources page, and please include a minimum of 3 primary peer-reviewed sources, using as many as required thoroughly to address the requirements that you have on this page, right? That does not include Furman, but Furman should be one of your main texts. I want to see what else did you look at to really hone in on your case, okay? So I hope that gives you all a good understanding of your final group project. I also wanted to point out that I have set a couple announcements on APA, right? So if we click on this one, you'll see how to really get into your reference page, right? This is specifically about the reference page. And so I have a template for a book, magazine, journal article, encyclopedia, dictionary entry if you have any, web page, article from an online journal, which a lot of you use a lot, right? And articles retrieved from an online database. So please use this resource. There should be no reason why anyone's getting APA wrong, because you have a really good template and you have me, right? You can always inbox me. Thank you all for those of you who have reached out to just verify and confirm that your APA is good to go, okay? So one of the last announcements that I want to show you all is also the sample APA page. That will give you an understanding of how it should look like, right? And all you have to do is go into this website. I love our Purdue. It's one of the best sites that really breaks down APA, okay? So go ahead and look at that, and it'll show you exactly how a title page, a reference page, how your headings should look like. And most of you who have already incorporated APA are doing a phenomenal job. Okay, so I'm really happy to see that. Now, the last thing I want to talk to you guys is the moment of truth, and that's your peer team participation rating. So many of you, probably don't like group work, right? Well, now you can kind of voice your opinions here as far as how much do you feel that you worked and how much do you feel that your teammates worked. Now, I actually incorporate these and add them and average them into your grade. So this is a true reflection of how well you did within your team. If you put in a lot of work, you don't have anything to worry about as far as this particular rating, right? But if you didn't put that much work, this is where it will show. And this is where things will kind of even out as far as those who kind of work really hard, right? And those who just stand by and let some people take charge. And that happens sometimes. And guess what, guys? It also happens in the real world, right? I work on virtual teams that sometimes I put in a little bit more work than others. And if you use your communication skills, you can get people to really hold them accountable for doing their part. It takes patience, it takes time, but it's real life, okay? Whether it's a course again or it's your work. So what does the teamwork evaluation template look like? Just want to show it to you all. And basically, the first thing you'll see is that you'll be rating yourself, right? A self-evaluation. And don't forget to add the name of the teammate that you're rating. And you will just keep copying and pasting this. One form, one submission is perfectly fine. So after you have the first, right, if you're, let's say the first teammate is Sally, right? I would just copy and paste this to the following page and go ahead and write the next person, right? And keep going there. Keep going from there, okay? So don't stop till you have rated each team member, and also be honest with yourself. It's quite interesting when I see huge discrepancies as far as how people feel that how much work they put in. So some of the things that you'll be rated on is taking an active role, being well prepared, communicating clearly, all things I've mentioned right in the beginning, being respectful and considerate, and willing to share resources and information. Okay, that's what makes a really awesome team player. And it's really important that I put you all in groups for this course because we are in a diversity and inclusion class. So it's going to be interesting to see how much you actually all included each other, right? Regardless of space and time. So since this is the last video, I just wanted to share with you all that I think you've been doing a phenomenal job. I feel honored to be your instructor this quarter. And if you all have any questions or need any advice, any suggestions, please feel free to contact me in the announcements. I still have my contact information. You have my email. You have my cell. Don't feel, that you can't use me. Utilize your instructors, okay? And so with that being said, have a great week. You are at the final stretch, and I'm excited to see and review your team projects. You guys all have worked so hard for the entire semester to get to this point. All right, so have a great night again, and I'll see you all in the course room.